Hi guys, my name is Anesu.
If you can't pronounce that, don't worry about it. I grew up in Scotland. I can't either.
And I'm a stand-up comedian. One of the first things that people notice about me, well, apart from the fact that I'm really tall and really black, I have a really weird accent that you can't quite place. The reason for that is because I am what I would like to call myself a citizen of two countries, or two continents actually. I was born in Zimbabwe, but I've lived in Scotland since I was 4. And that's the reason for my weird, quite unique accent, which I absolutely love. But it's not always been like that. Growing up as a kid, when you move to a new country, the one thing you want more than anything else is to fit in. I noticed quite quickly that I didn't sound the same like all of my friends. The way I used to say stuff used to make all of the kids laugh. It got to the point where I hated reading out in class. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not the worst affliction in the world, but as a kid and a teenager, it made me feel really insecure. All of this led to me to start having a mild disdain for my background and heritage. And at the time, I didn't realize how detrimental that is. As Marcus Garvey puts it, a people without knowledge of their past, history, origin and culture is like a tree without roots. And I was allowing myself to become a tree without roots, to simply conform to the ideas of what I thought society wanted me to be. This made it quite difficult for me to truly find myself in those formative years. And this became much worse because after many years of everyone telling me how African I sounded, I finally went back to Zimbabwe to visit some family. And then when I was there, everyone started calling me Mr. British, on account of how British they thought I sounded. This left a young me in a weird sort of limbo, where I was neither Zimbabwean nor Scottish, or so I thought. But luckily for me, the older I got, the more people I met from outside of Scotland, living in Scotland, who were proud of their dual nationality. I started to realize people can't be simply put into labels or boxes. I've realized that most people who are actually asking about my background are asking out of genuine curiosity and interest. I've realized that after school specials were right. Diversity is our strength. The main thing that made me realize all of this was when I started doing stand-up comedy. I'd always been a massive fan of stand-up comedy, and it was something I'd always wanted to try, but I'd always put it off because I hated the way my voice sounded. Eventually, I gathered up enough courage to actually try it, and when I did try it, I found what I thought would be my biggest weakness was actually one of my biggest strengths. I discovered one of the most desirable things in stand-up comedy is a unique, recognizable voice and a unique point of view with unique stories. And what could be more unique than a Scottish Zimbabwean? Doing stand-up comedy, where I perform my stories and tell my point of view to an audience, also gave me a chance to self-analyze, and it made me realize how unnecessarily self-deprecating I was. Not only that, I now proclaim myself as the greatest Scottish Zimbabwean comedian ever, mainly because I'm the only one I know, but I'll take it. But in all seriousness, something I'd always wanted to try, I put off for a reason, and that reason has become one of the reasons I stand out so much more from the crowd of other comedians. Basically, in a world that is so divided, loving yourself for who you are and where you come from is so important. Doing stand-up comedy also taught me that if you feel insecure or shame about something that you can't change about yourself, such as your accent, sexual orientation, skin color, and all that other good stuff, then you allow the people that tell us that our differences matter and that try to divide us to feel validated. Which is why it is important to celebrate yourself and those around you for their uniqueness. What I'm trying to say is, basically, be yourself. The world doesn't need a bunch of clones. Embrace everything about yourself that you can't change. You'll find you'll be much happier. Be you, be yourself, be happy. Peace out. This has nothing to do with the video, right? But I just want to say, if you come to the beach and you leave shit like this at the beach, you're a grade A.